Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here, the 3 Topics Game. I'm here to share with you another one of my top 5 list videos to share with you guys today. Now, for those of you that have been watching my channel for a while, you guys know that I'm a hardcore PlayStation fan. And heck, being someone who mainly plays on PlayStation consoles has given me a lot of benefit. One of those benefits is a long library of great PlayStation exclusive content. However, I would be lying if I didn't say that there are some franchises that no longer are around that I don't sadly miss that were PlayStation exclusive. So I thought it would be interesting to do a list of my top 5 favorite exclusive PlayStation franchises that I miss. I don't necessarily need these franchises to return, but heck, I kind of do miss playing these games. So before I begin, if you do happen to enjoy this video by the end, I would really appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe and share this video in order so you can keep track of me and all my future video projects. So without wasting any more time, let's jump right into my list, starting off with number 5. Taking the number 5 spot on my list is going to surprise some of you, but it has to go to Jak and Daxter. Now, personally, I do consider myself to be a much bigger Ratchet and Clank fan, but I always respected the somewhat parallels that they shared with Jak and Daxter. These two teams were somewhat similar, but had enough differences to have their own unique identities. And it's also sad to admit that the last time we even had anything Jak and Daxter related was in 2012 with the Jak and Daxter collection, which went over the main trilogy of games. Now, I understand that this franchise was developed by Naughty Dogs, and right now they're too busy making politically correct and woke games, and that's perfectly fine if they want to go in that direction. I mean, they're working on The Last of Us, Uncharted's been retired. Why not let another developer work on a Jak and Daxter reboot series? I mean, there's certainly enough potential. I mean, if Ratchet and Clank has been this long running, and they just went through a soft reboot as well as a first-time kind of somewhat sequel for the PlayStation 5, and there's absolutely no reason why Jak and Daxter can't make a comeback. There's certainly a good amount of fans that would love to see this franchise return, and now that you have all these major improvements for the PlayStation 5, could you imagine what a Jak and Daxter game for the PlayStation 5 could look like? It has the potential to really make some serious noise and perhaps even expand the amount of PlayStation exclusive games that we've had. There's a lot of games in its library that really could use a rebranding or heck, a little bit of a rebirth, and I think that Jak and Daxter is one of those franchises, which is why it is number 5 in terms of the PlayStation franchises that I personally miss and would like to see return. Taking the number 4 spot on my list has to go to the Sly Cooper franchise. Just like Jak and Daxter, this too was a popular stealth-based platforming franchise that had a great collection of games developed for the series. And it's just a bit sad that the last time we had any new installments for this franchise was all the way back in 2013 with Sly Cooper Thieves in Time. And also, does anyone else remember when there was supposed to be an animated film made for this franchise? And from what I saw from the trailer, it actually looked really good. But from what I heard, it was eventually canceled due to the box office performance of the Ratchet and Clank movie, which is unfortunate because I rather enjoyed that film. Now, Sly Cooper was developed mainly by Sucker Punch, and they've now just finished releasing Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. So I think now would have been a perfect time to bring Sly and the Band of Thieves back for the PlayStation 5. I personally like it when developers can work between games instead of just immediately jumping onto the sequel, and while I'm sure a Ghost of Tsushima 2 game will come, I wouldn't mind waiting a bit just to see the return of this popular franchise. But if Sucker Punch is too busy, then I wouldn't mind seeing another developer try their own take on this popular stealth-based franchise. I don't think I'm alone in terms of how excited older fans like me would be to see this franchise return, so that is why Sly Cooper will take the number 4 spot on my list. Taking the number 3 spot on my list has to go to Twisted Metal, which, if I remember correctly, has the most amount of installments in its franchise than any other on this list. I believe there's like 8 games running from 1995 all the way to 2012. Now, this franchise is described as a vehicular combat series of games, which is rather unique because I don't think there are too many franchises that have even attempted to make games like this, which makes Twisted Metal really stand out on this list. Characters like Sweet Tooth and Calypso are popular and recognizable characters, and due to a long run that this series has had, it has made it very successful in building its own fairly respectable fan base. Now, it may be true that the last installment in 2012 was somewhat a bit underwhelming as a whole. However, I personally believe that enough time has passed to give this franchise another go, having completely skipped the entire PlayStation 4 era, which was highly popular. While out of all the franchises on this list, this franchise is certainly one that I'm the least optimistic about possibly returning. If it were somehow to make a comeback, I don't think that anyone would deny that the crazy atmosphere, recognizable characters, and updated looks would make a modern day Twisted Metal game feel very unique and stand out from all the other PlayStation exclusive franchises, which really, in my eyes, helps to take the number 3 spot on my list. Taking the number 2 spot on my list has to go to the Resistance franchise, which, if someone would remember, actually started as a release title for the PlayStation 3, which just so happens to be my favorite era of the PlayStation. Now, despite this series only running from 2006 to 2012 and having 5 installments between the PlayStation 3, PSP, and PlayStation Vita, I believe that this series did have a solid conclusion with the ending of Resistance 3. The reason why I really miss this franchise so much is because, as of late, PlayStation exclusive libraries have really been missing a solid first-person shooter franchise. When you really look at the last number of PlayStation exclusive games like Returnal, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Demon's Souls, and many others, you tend to notice that all of these games are done in third person. Now, sure, all of these games are great, but I think something like a rebooted Resistance franchise would go a long way to adding some much needed diversity in the style of PlayStation exclusive games that has really been needed for some time. And since the franchise has had a solid ending in 2012, that leaves the door wide open for another developer to take this franchise and do its own unique style and personal take. And I would love to see what a modern day Resistance game would look and play like, which is what helps the Resistance franchise take the number 2 spot on my list. Taking the number 1 spot on my list has to go to the Killzone franchise. Now, just like Resistance, the last installment, which was Killzone Shadowfall, also served as a release title for the PlayStation 4. But unlike Resistance, which had a solid ending, I do not believe that Killzone Shadowfall actually did a good job of actually giving us a satisfying conclusion, and it actually ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. Now, Killzone was developed mainly by Guerrilla Studios, and they're doing a fantastic job of Horizon, which I personally believe that in the long run has the potential to become one of the greatest PlayStation exclusive franchises of all time. Perhaps when Horizon Forbidden West is released, they could switch over to Killzone and give it at least one more go, or if not that, give this series a satisfying conclusion. But again, just like Resistance, this first-person shooter franchise really did go a long way to helping diversify the style of games that were a part of the long history of PlayStation exclusive games. Killzone also has the most unique visual style of any game on this list, and with me being a story-driven gamer, it certainly has the best expansive lore of any other franchise on this list. Killzone very much was known for its gameplay and impressive visuals, so could you just imagine what my favorite first-person shooter franchise of all time could do with all the capabilities of the PlayStation 5 could bring it? And for those reasons, Killzone, out of any other PlayStation franchise, is the one that I personally miss the most. And that concludes my list of my personal top 5 favorite PlayStation exclusive franchises that I really miss playing. So now that you guys know my list, I would really like to know what are some franchises that really haven't had a new installment that you really miss playing. Share your list with me and everyone else in the comments down below. And like always, I want to thank all of you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will catch you next time.